Hi, today we discuss about the topic shadows. First of all, how does a shadow form? You're seeing on the slide there are many shadows of different shapes and sizes. A shadow is nothing but a dark image formed on a screen or on the ground when a light is obstructed by an object, especially an opaque object. You're seeing a picture on the slide. There is a tall pole and there are few persons walking on the road. You can see their shadows are different shapes and different sizes. Now let us think that what are the factors actually affecting the different size or shape of a shadow. Pause the video, talk to yourself, think and get the answer for the question. Yes, I think you got some of the factors affecting the size or shape of a shadow. There are few are listed here. One is size of an object. Of course, taller object, shorter object will form a different shaped shadows. And the second one is distance from the light source. Obviously, the light source is near to the object and far from the object. There is a difference in the size of the shadow. We'll get to know in a few moments. And the third one, the angle of light falling on the object. Based on the angle of light falling on the object, also the size changes. We get to know this is also in a few moments. A shadow actually not only single shadow. Shadow basically classified into two types, which is called umbra and penumbra. Umbra is the region where the dark part of the shadow, and we can say there is no light falling on the shadow. Penumbra is the region where some of the light falling on the shadow and this light are the partial shadow. On the slide you are seeing two pictures. This is the second image. The second image where there is umbra region with a dark shadow, and above and below the umbra there is a penumbra region where some of the light falls in that shadow, so that making the dark shadow to be a light dark shadow. And in this image there are two things you need to know: point source and a broad source. Point source is the source of light which is very far from the object. Extended source, the broad source, is the one which is near to the object. When the light source is near to the object, you can estimate the size of the light source. So that's why we say it's the extended source or the broad source. When the extended source or the broad source is placed near to an object, you can see the two regions of the shadow, the umbra and penumbra. Umbra and penumbra are not only limited to white light. You can apply for different colored lights also. On the slide you can see there are two light sources of different colors, red and green, and there is a ball. When red light and green light falls on the ball, on the object, you can see the dark part of the shadow, which is umbra, and you can see above there is a red shadow, red colored shadow, because red light is near relatively to the green light. Similarly, below the umbra you can see the green shadow, because the green light is near relatively to the red light. So in that way you can get the umbra and penumbra for the colored lights also. Here we are discussing about how does the shade of a shadow changes. When the light source is near to the object, or the object is near to the light source, you can see the broad region of the dark shadow. When the light source is far from the object, or the object is far from the light source, then shadow region is very less. So in this way, by relatively changing the positions of the light source or the object, you can increase or decrease the shadow region on the screen. The knowledge what we discussed so far, now we apply to real life situations. Number one, solar eclipse. Solar eclipse, all of you know that it is nothing but the moon coming in between the sun and the earth, and the moon shadow falls on the earth, which is we called solar eclipse. In the solar eclipse you are unable to see the sun. But you heard about that there are partial solar eclipse and the total solar eclipse. This is happening because sometimes the shadow is in umbra region, sometimes the shadow is in the penumbra region. Let us see the second image. Whenever the shadow, when the earth comes in the umbra region of the moon's shadow, then you won't be able to see the sun, which is called total solar eclipse. When the earth is in penumbra region, then partial shadow of the moon falls on the earth. Then you can see the partial sun, which is called partial solar eclipse. This eclipse not only limited to sun, it is for moon also, which is called lunar eclipse, where you are unable to see the moon. How? When the earth is in between sun and the moon, so the earth's shadow falls on the moon, then this is called lunar eclipse. You are unable to see the moon. If you see this picture, lunar eclipse image of the picture, the earth shadow also have two regions, umbra and penumbra. When the moon is in the umbra region, you are unable to see the moon. When the moon is in the penumbra region of the earth, then you can see the partial moon. So that moon is having a different cycles of its lunar eclipse, and you're going to see and learn in the next slide. Here you can see the cycles of a lunar eclipse at the face of a moon. The sunlight falling to right and going towards left, and you can see the new moon where you can't able to see the moon because the moon is in the umbra region of the shadow. And here you can see the full moon where there is no shadow of earth falling on the moon. And in between new moon and full moon there are different cycles where the shadow region changes. This is what called phase of the moon. Now I'm going to show a small demonstration where you can see how the shape of a shadow changes.
We need a torch and any small toy. We will keep the toy on the table vertically. When light is focused on the toy from this side, you will see that the shadow is formed on the opposite side, which is because light travels in a straight line. Now notice the shadow as the position of the torch is changed continuously. As the torch is revolved around the toy, you will see that the position and size of the shadow also changes, which shows that the size and shape of the shadow depends on the position and angle of the source of light. When you are out in the open under the sun for the entire day and you observe your shadow at regular intervals, you will see the difference in the size and position of the shadow, which is due to the change in position of the sun relative to earth as sun moves from east to west.